Good morning, welcome back to the channel. So today's project is we are going to be installing my upper Gladiator cabinets. My gear track finally came in that I'm going to use to hang the cabinets on. I had it ordered for a little over a month from Lowe's. None of the stores here in the state had any of the gear track by itself available for purchase, so I had to order it. Anyway, we've got it in and we are going to get started and hang these cabinets up. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. As you can see, I've got the gear track out of the box, and each one of these is 4 feet long. Each gear track is capable of holding 75 pounds per linear foot, and so that's about 300 pounds per track. The cabinets themselves have a capacity of 200 pounds, 50 pounds per shelf for the 30-inch cabinet. And they will actually hang in these tracks once we get these mounted to the wall and screwed into the studs. I take a quick look at the actual cabinet. So they have basically 3 shelves that you can utilize, the bottom and then the 2 shelves above it. Again, each capable of holding about 50 pounds per shelf on here. Then they have a magnetic strip across the top and the bottom that the doors just holds them secure when they're shut, and you can lock it using the key. So one of the first things that we need to do is to actually mount the brackets that hang in the gear track channels to the cabinets. And then once we get that done, then I can measure from the bottom one and see where the bottom of that track is on here, so that at that point we can measure and determine where we want those cabinets height-wise from the bench itself, from the workbench. So we need to decide, you know, how much space we want from here to the bottom of the cabinet, because we certainly want, I'm not very tall, and I need to be able to easily get in and have access to them. So once we determine that height, that will then determine where we'll mount the gear track channels, and then each of those has to be mounted 18 inches apart. So the upper gear track will be 18 inches above the lower gear track once we determine where the cabinet needs to be. So we will get started with mounting those brackets onto the back of these cabinets and go from there. And then the way these get mounted is you run a carriage bolt through. The rims point down. That's what will go in the actual gear track channels right here, as it will slide in like that. So all right, let's get a washer on this and then the lock nut. All right, got that one started. Let's get this other one. And finish tightening this one. Okay, I'm just going to do a voiceover here to make it easier to hear. While I was working with the cabinet, it's pretty noisy, so you really can't hear. But again, making this much easier, flip the cabinet upside down. That way you can easily reach around to the back of the bolt and keep that pushed in while you tighten the lock nut. And tighten them. The instructions tell you to just finger tighten them, but you need to tighten it more than that, otherwise you're going to run into problems. Once you get them hung, there will be no way to keep that pressed in, and that square head of the bolt will just pop out the back and it'll just turn on you. So you need it tight enough so that it's going to stay in place, and then you can finish tightening it once you have the cabinet hung up. And so I just tighten this to where it's still loose, but the bolts are in far enough that they won't turn. All right, we got those mounted to that one. Let's do the other one. So I determined I want my cabinets to sit 16 inches above the workbench. So I'm going to add 16 inches from the point where this top rim slides into this gear track channel. So from here, I'll add 16 inches. That'll tell me how high the gear track needs to be mounted. So at that point, and that's going to be sitting at about 29 3/4 inches. And so this is 2 inches from the top of this gear track to where that top rim will slide into that track. So we've got 29 3/4, so we want to add 2 inches to that, so that's going to be 31 3/4, and then we'll add 16 inches to that. Alright, so basically that top track needs to go 47 3/4 inches above the workbench. So I'll get my ladder, we'll make a couple marks here as to where the top of the channel needs to be. And I'll make sure that I've got it level. And right now this workbench is perfectly level. So we should get some accurate measurements just by going 47 3/4 inch from the top of the workbench to make a line on each side, and then we can Okay, after thinking about this for a little bit, I'm actually just going to cut 1 foot off of each gear track. That leaves me plenty of flexibility to kind of move these around to where the joists are going to be on the wall. If I cut it to 2 feet, it's going to kind of limit me a little bit on this single one if the joists aren't properly. We may have to be way over one way or the other in order to get 2 joists on this. So to give us a little more flexibility, I'll just take off 1 foot off of each gear track, cutting these down to 3 feet in length. Alright, you always want to make sure you wear your safety gear, even if you wear glasses. Believe me, stuff can get in around them. All right, now we want to mark where our studs are at. Okay, I also picked up these Gladiator color matched screws to mount these gear tracks to the wall, so that should help them blend in a little better. And the nice thing is it comes with a bit for the screw, so that'll help picking the right one. Alright, once we get the first screw in, that'll hold that in place. This is level here. Yeah, that's perfect. And you want to put 2 screws in each stud. Okay, we got the top gear track mounted. We will put the end caps on. Okay, and as you can see, basically these just slide right in those tracks. These little wings here. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is measure 18 inches from the bottom of this track. That will be the location of the top of the bottom track. Alright, we got a pretty level line there. So let's get the lower track. Okay, the one thing we want to do is mark 1 1/8 inch in, which is what our upper track is set in from the end of the wall. That way they're both even. Alright, next thing we want to do is mark our stud locations. All right, the next thing we will do is to hang our first cabinet. Okay, and so we're going to get a helper here. This is much easier to hang these cabinets when you got two people. All right, got it. Okay, that's all you need to do. Okay. All right, now at this point, it is why we left these nuts here loose so that we can adjust this. Okay, the one thing is, as you know, I cut these gear track down by 1 foot on each one, making them 3 feet. But you don't have to cut them down. You can let them extend beyond either side or all on one end, and that way you can get different accessories to hang other items on that gear track. Because unless you overload these cabinets, you're not going to overload the weight limit of the gear track on the wall. All right, now that we got these where we want them, I'm going to tighten them down, and then at that point we will be done. All right, so the keys that come with your cabinet, they're universal. One reason I know that is because the same key that locks this one also works on this one. And these cabinets that I bought almost a year ago on the lower, the same key works for those too. So you'll have one key that can work for all your cabinets and lock them all. And so with each cabinet that has a lock on it, you get 2 keys. So you're going to have, well, in my case, I've got 8 keys now, so hard to misplace those. All right, so there you got it, folks. Overall, not that difficult to install. I think they look pretty good for what they are. And the gear tracks. Now you can also hang these cabinets on what they call the Gladiator gear wall, which is basically your entire wall has this type of tracking on it. They're not in separated smaller tracks like this. It's like a 4 foot tall piece, and you can mount as many of those as you want together depending on how tall your garage is. So these could actually hang on a Gladiator gear wall as well as the gear tracks. And again, these are 30-inch by 30-inch. These are the pre-assembled ones. If you go with the 28-inch wall cabinets, those you put together yourself, which most of these I had to put together. But if you order the 30-inch ones, they're pre-assembled. They're a little more expensive, but they're worth it in my opinion. They also have a higher weight capacity than the ones that you assemble yourself. It's not a whole lot more, it's 50 pounds more, but hey, 50 pounds is 50 pounds. All right, folks, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and hit that bell notification for future videos coming on. I've got quite a few more projects that I'm planning, and I will have those out in the coming weeks. Thanks again.